not present. Commissioner Clay Alsop.
Here.
And Commissioner Lee Strickman.
Here.
Very good. I'm going to start by reading an opening statement. This commission is composed of Peoria citizens who have been appointed by the City Council to serve on the commission as a civic responsibility without compensation. Our duty is to study and review planning and zoning issues within the City of Peoria and then forward our recommendations to the City Council. All hearings are conducted in accordance with rules of procedures and Robert's Rules of Order. Each case is called in the order in which it appears on the agenda unless otherwise announced during the meeting. In the interest of maintaining a fair and efficient hearing, the Commission adheres to the following steps. The chairperson calls the case. Staff gives a brief report and recommendation. Applicant gives a presentation. Opposition and support gives testimony. We'd like to limit that to 3 minutes per speaker. And applicant may give a rebuttal, and then commission, discussion, and decision. Anyone wishing to speak must fill out a speaker request form and hand it to the planning assistant on my left at the end of the dais. Please be brief and as possible and do not repeat statements made by others. Anyone wishing to protest the decision of a commission public hearing item must request a second public hearing before the City Council. The request must be submitted in writing to the Planning and Community Development Department within 10 days after the Commission's hearing. All Commission recommendations on public hearing items they move forward to a regular City Council meeting. The City Council will then act on the recommendation of the Commission. They may concur with the decision, modify it, or overturn it. We welcome citizens' comments, and as fellow citizens of Peoria, we thank you in advance for your participation. So this will be a final call to submit any speaker request forms. Again, if anyone wishes to speak, please fill out a form and provide it to the staff seated to my left at the end of the dais. So we're going to start tonight with the consent agenda. The consent agenda is for items that are routine in nature and consists of 2 items tonight. First up is item 1C, disposition of absence, discussion and possible action to approve and or excuse the absences of Chairman Sean Hutchinson and Commissioner Lee Strickman from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on May 18, 2017. And 2C, the minutes, discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on May 18th of 2017. Do the commissioners have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Jeff Nelson.
I'll second it.
And seconded by Commissioner Bill Lewis. Please vote. Okay, the consent agenda passes unanimously. We'll now move on to new business, and the first item on the agenda under new business is item 3R, Z17-01, Four Seasons at Ventana Lakes. Request to rezone 17.3 acres from intermediate commercial C2 to Four Seasons at Ventana Lakes Planned Area Development zoning district. The purpose is to facilitate the construction of an age-restricted single-family residential development comprising 69 total lots located at the northwest and southwest corners of 107th Avenue and Beardsley Road. Staff, can you please give your report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Good evening. My name is Sean Allen, planner with the Planning Division. The applicant is CVL Consultants Incorporated. As stated, the request is a rezoning from intermediate commercial C2 to single-family residential planned area development, otherwise known as PAD. The location of these 2 parcels are west on Beardsley Road off 107th Avenue on the northwest and southwest corners of that intersection. And the development proposal is a 69-lot single-family age-restricted development, 31 lots proposed on the north parcel and 38 on the south, with an overall density of 3.99 dwelling units per acre. The overall size of both parcels combined is 17.3 acres, 7.12 on the north and 10.2 on the south. The surrounding vicinity of the north parcel is we have on the east and east of 107th Avenue is StoreQuest Mini Storage. To the south is Beardsley Road, which is a major arterial for the city. And then north and west of the proposal is Ventana Lakes, which is an age-restricted community. On the south parcel, beginning again with the east, we have east of 107th Avenue, Sun City. And the development over there is a single-family residential development that is R16, comparable to our medium-density land use. To the south and to the west of the parcel is, again, Ventana Lakes, age-restricted community, and also an existing city water tank facility. And then to the north is, again, the major arterial, Beardsley Road. The existing land use designations for both the subject properties and the adjacent properties to the north, west, and south carry the low-density residential land use designation, 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre. And then to the southeast of the south parcel is, again, Sun City with that R16 zoning that's comparable to our medium density. The current zoning is intermediate commercial for the subject properties, our C2 zoning designation. The surrounding zones, beginning to the north, west, and the south, is multifamily residential, our RM1 zoning, and that basically represents the Ventana Lakes community. To the northeast is intermediate commercial, C2, and that's the StoreQuest mini storage, and then to the southeast again is the Sun City residential development. The request again is to change the existing zone of intermediate commercial C2 to the Four Seasons at Ventana Lakes Planned Area Development, PAD. This would be consistent with adjacent development patterns and the general vicinity. It would be compliant with the general land use plan designation of low-density residential, 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre with a target of 3 dwelling units per acre. And they have adequately justified the 0.99 dwelling units per acre increase in overall density. And then finally, the proposal was recently annexed into the adjacent Ventana Lakes age-restricted community. Looking at the development plan concept, again, there's 69 lots, overall density 3.99 dwelling units per acre. We have enhanced community entry monuments on both sides of Beardsley Road as you're going west, and so it gives a greater sense of theme and entry into the Ventana Lakes community. There's a plus 8% above the minimum required usable open space percentage with 7 notable amenities. And then both parcels have been designed to have good connectivity throughout for those residents to get to those amenities. This slide shows those entry monuments spoken of on both sides of Beardsley, and they're going to be designed as decorative pillars with trellis caps. They'll have recessed down lighting to illuminate those sign panels, and pavers and accent landscaping. The development standards being proposed for this development are to model after the R16 zone that is in the city of Peoria. The table reflects how those standards match up, and there's differences in lot area and lot coverage that you can see. R16 is 45%. This project is 55%, and then we have, of course, the lot area minimum is a little bit smaller. We feel that these are offset by the increase in usable open space that they've provided, and there's also several encumbrances that they've had to incorporate into the project. If you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to go over that later. Noticing the application and noticing postcards were sent and mailed to residents within 600 feet and HOAs within 1 mile. The site was posted by the applicant in accordance with city requirements. We received one official letter of support from the Board of Directors member of Ventana Lakes Community and in support of that proposal. They had a neighborhood meeting. This was on February 23rd of this year at the Sunrise Mountain Public Library. Approximately 25 people from the public attended, and a lot of the questions focused around what process they would have to go through to get approved with the city, how well it would blend into the community that's existing and adjacent, and so forth. And there was no voice of concern or opposition at that meeting for the project. The key findings to support this proposal is in conformance with the goals, objectives, and policies set forth in the City of Peoria General Plan for single-family residential infill developments. The rezoning request is consistent with the general plan land use designation of low-density residential, 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre with a target of 3, and has adequately justified exceeding that target density. The request is consistent with the zoning and development patterns in the vicinity, and the development concept includes additional frontage improvements that will provide increased pedestrian safety and connectivity. And then finally, on March 18th of this year, the Ventana Lakes Property Owners Association voted in favor of annexing the proposal into their age-restricted community. Staff recommends approval of case Z17-01 to the City Council subject to the conditions in the staff report and as modified in the rezoning memo dated today and that I handed out to you, and it should be before you. If you have any questions on those modifications and changes, I'd be happy to go over that with you. Otherwise, open it up for any questions.
Okay, do any commissioners have any questions for the staff? Commissioner Alsop.
Yeah, I have a question. I understand the normal FAR ratios within the city. What was the justification for the 55%?
Commissioner Alsop, thank you. We felt like because there's a large gas pipeline easement that traverses through the east side of both parcels, there's also an existing well site on the south parcel, several easements that are encumbering the project more so than what a standard subdivision would have to normally deal with. And so we took that into account, as well as they're proposing one-story homes instead of 2. And so their floor plan is a little bit bigger on that one level. We felt that it wouldn't be detrimental to the community and not consistent, and so to speak, and we're okay with that.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay, do any of the commissioners have any questions of the staff? Okay, with that, I'm going to open the public hearing. Is the applicant present? Would you like to speak?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. I am Thomas Galvin with Rose Law Group, 7144 East Stetson Drive. Here on behalf of the applicant, we're excited and happy to be here tonight after a very fruitful process with the Ventana Lakes Property Ownership Association. Many of the members are here tonight, and we appreciate their attendance here, especially after their due diligence and cooperation with us over the past several months. I'd like to walk with you through several items through a slide deck that we've created. Staff has done a terrific job of providing you information, so I beg for your indulgence if some of these slides are repeats. I heard the admonition before not to repeat information that was already provided. But this Ventana Lakes project will provide the active adult lifestyle that people enjoy right now in Ventana Lakes. And in fact, it's very similar to the very exciting and popular Four Seasons in Sun City, which is just about sold out. You will see these homes are beautiful in design, will enhance the area, and will really contribute to the city of Peoria, and in fact will do a great job in surrounding the existing Ventana Lakes homes. You will see these are what they describe as unique home designs and elegant kitchens. As you saw earlier tonight, the aerials show this is a significant parcel of 17 acres, 2 parcels, north and south, right on Beardsley Road, and this will be a significant improvement to the area. As you can see, I'm sure you're very well aware of this property. These existing vacant lots are somewhat of an eyesore, and it will be exciting to see beautiful homes be developed and a community be developed as people enjoy their active lifestyle. Right here, as you saw earlier tonight, staff talked about the monument signs that will be here. Basically, this intersection is going to go from night to day. It's going to be a beautiful monument signs on either side will be a great enhancer for people to enter this intersection. And you saw this earlier before. This is how it will look. Drastic difference. As you know, this is an age-restricted community that's very important because of the surrounding Ventana Lakes community. These are single-story homes that was addressed earlier with the question to Commissioner Alsop. This is successfully annexed into the VLPOA, which is a significant development. That was a wonderful process of people working together, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later. And this is what we're most proud of. As you can see in the election results, there were 1,615 members in the community in good standing who are eligible to vote. There was a 2-step process that we had to go through. 808 people had to vote because we needed at least 50% of the vote. And in fact, we got 1,042 people to vote. We only needed 405 to vote in favor, and we got 955 votes in favor. That's a 92% approval. And in fact, we actually had a handful of spoiled ballots, so it actually was a 93% approval of all the votes that were valid. And we're especially proud of that, and we're especially proud of the VLPOA folks working with us to get this almost unanimous result, which is basically unheard of. The new members, the new residents will be paying VLPOA dues, and these homes will abide by the same design guidelines. And we firmly believe that this project, the Four Seasons of Ventana Lakes, will add value to the surrounding area. Obviously, going from the empty vacant lots from an eyesore to this beautiful community will be a great enhancer, as we can see here. As staff mentioned earlier before, this site has been riddled with constraints. The 60-foot gas line easement, the city capital improvement projects on Beardsley Road, the well site, and the water tank did pose challenges, but the applicant has done a terrific job of working around it, of course with input and feedback from the surrounding neighbors. As you saw here, these are 69 lots, all single-story homes. And once again, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, we thank you for the opportunity for us to grow and expand the Ventana Lakes community. Thank you.
Okay, and you are in agreement with the staff recommendations on this?
We are. We appreciate staff with the modifications that they provided today. Thank you.
Okay, do any commissioners have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, I did receive one speaker request form from a Lori Norris. Could you please step down to the podium and state your name and address for the record?
Excuse me. My name's Lori Norris. I live at 19536 North 107th Drive in Ventana Lakes. Good evening, Commissioners. They've taken away most of my glory that I was planning to bring up. They pretty much told me I could just come up here and say, I'm in support of it, so is the community. Let's go from there. But I do have a couple of things I'd like to state. Excuse me. I've been in Ventana Lakes for 14 years and currently serving as the board president for the Ventana Lakes Board of Directors. I'm here to express the association's support of the rezoning of the vacant lots located at 107th and Beardsley. As you're aware, or may not be aware, Ventana Lakes was developed in 1986, with the final construction completed in 2003, currently comprised of 1,701 homes. The north and south corners at 107th and Beardsley have laid vacant for 30 years. We've endured seeing these vacant lots and all the issues that go with it for over 30 years. Excuse me. Multiple developers have previously attempted to develop the area and remove these unsightly vacant lots, all have found that the financial feasibility was not viable due to the property limitations, which house a city water, waste tank structure, and a gas pipeline. Development of these corners will complete the area and remove these unsightly vacant lots. Excuse me. As KHOB pointed out in late 2016, they approached Ventana Lakes with the idea of joining our community. If they developed the area, rezoned it, they would join our community. And as he pointed out, we had an overwhelming amount of people show up for vote in favor of this. By allowing this rezoning, Ventana Lakes and KHOB can partner in an effort to improve the aesthetics of our area by eliminating 2 unsightly vacant lots. These projects provide a financial benefit to the city of Peoria by increasing the taxable value associated with these properties while also benefiting the developer and Ventana Lakes. This financial aspect must be a major consideration as part of the commission, as an infill project and the cost to the city would be minimal. We encourage the Commission to demonstrate the needed flexibility to ensure this project proceeds on schedule and to not establish arbitrary conditions that serve no viable purpose and are contrary to desires of the development of Ventana Lakes. Thank you. Make sure there's no questions.
Okay, I have no other speaker request forms. Seeing no other public comment, I'm going to close the public hearing. Are there any additional questions for the staff on relating to this project? Commissioner Patterson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to make a comment on the city CIP project that's coming up on Beardsley Road. Looks like the city's going to be doing major work on the south side for all of the frontage on this property. There's no right turn lane at this time on Beardsley Road. And it seemed to make sense to try to find a way to come up with some additional money to beef up the budget on that CIP project and put the right turn lane in now so you don't come back several years and have to tear out new construction and have a disruption associated with the putting that turn lane in later.
Is there any comment from staff?
Mr. Chair, we're going to have our, our traffic engineer, Chris Limca, address that question.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair Hutchinson and Commissioner Patterson. I'm Chris Limca, the Assistant City Traffic Engineer. And a little bit on that CIP project. It's really a drainage project on Beardsley. There's a open channel on the south side of Beardsley. What the project's going to do is pipe the channel. That helps with the maintenance for the city of Peoria. And with that, we're going to address some of the ADA issues at 107th and Beardsley, put in ADA compliant handicap ramps and that kind of stuff. Since this is really a drainage project, it was never envisioned to address capacity intersection needs at 107th and Beardsley. I could bring the comment back to the engineering department for consideration and to see if there is budget to be able to consider putting our right turn lane on 107th and Beardsley. But if there's not a sufficient budget because it really is a drainage project, one consideration would be we have a CIP estimating identification program every year, and we'll put that in for consideration for future CIP projects. And then it gets ranked and prioritized with the other CIP projects. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Thank you. I just hated to see you have to come back a year or 2, 3 years from now with another project to tear things up and redo some of the work the drainage project will do.
Good point. Okay, Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Allen, or whoever from staff wants to answer, it always troubles me when we take C2 inventory out of the inventory, essentially. Commercial generates a lot more income from the city than residential does. We know that. That's a fact. So is it the city's position that this is the best use for this, that this is not a commercially viable commercial property?
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. It's a good question. Anytime, we change the zone and we replace commercial with something else, we definitely consider, those impacts. In this case, this has been C2 for many, many years, over 20 years. And so no viable projects have come in and shown interest. We are very sensitive to commercial developing in the city, but we've identified certain areas where we feel that that's going to be more appropriate, and this is not one of them.
Is it due to the challenge that were mentioned earlier by the previous speaker, the water tank, the well, the gas line? Has that been a hindrance to this developing or being attractive to a commercial developer? Or is it just the location? What's the theory as to why we haven't had any interest? As I read in the staff notes, no commercial development applications on record since the joint change. That was kind of fascinating to me. Why do we think it's been such an appealing site? Do we have any reason or
Commissioner Nelson, it's difficult to say, why there's not been any interest in a property. Probably easier to answer if we would have had an application and then it's withdrawn, and then that way we get a feel as to why there's no interest. The encumbrances that you mentioned, the gas line and the water tank and water facilities on the property can certainly weigh into that. Once you start to chip away at the site, then all of a sudden you start to run into issues with visibility, perhaps access, and those things that certainly encumber a property.
Okay, I understand. All right, I appreciate your feedback on that.
Commissioner Strickman.
Thank you. I just want to say that I am a resident at Ventana Lakes, and I have lived there for 11 years, and those corners have been vacant, and so I applaud something going in there that is going to make that area better for everybody that lives there. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other further comments from the commission? Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lewis.
I'd move we send a favorable recommendation to the City Council to approve case Z17-01, subject to the conditions listed in the report and amended.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
And seconded by Commissioner Strickman. Could you please vote? Okay, it passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, next up on the agenda is the call to the public. Are there any comments from the public on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we will move on to reports from staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Just a couple items tonight. The July 6th meeting, normally scheduled meeting, has been canceled. We don't have items for that evening. And we do have a meeting scheduled for July 20th, same time, same location here at the council chambers. But there is, that meeting is tentative. It's really for one item. And there are some questions whether or not that item is going to be ready for hearing. So we will certainly let you know if that meeting has been canceled. And then, as just a reminder, we mentioned this last meeting. We hopefully council has or the commission has seen this flyer come through regarding the general plan. We are getting ready to embark on our second series of community workshops. The first one will be coming up next week, Monday, June 5th, at the Sunrise Mountain Library. And then it'll be really the same information conveyed 3 times, 3 different locations. The second one will be on Tuesday, June 6th at Copper Hills Church. That's in West Wing. And then the third one will be June 7th. That's Wednesday. And that will be here on campus at the Community Development Building, DCSB Development Community Services Building, rather. And all of those meetings will be from 6 to 8. They are truly a workshop format, so there will be some exercises, some mapping exercises, and certainly plenty of opportunity for dialogue. And for anyone who's looking online or is interested, we can guide them to our website for this project, specifically for this project, and that is planpeoriaaz.com. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. I would like to mention one thing. I think Adam mentioned what meetings we're not having in July. However, we are having a meeting in 2 weeks on June 15th. I want to make sure we're all aware of that.
June 15th is
That's my
next.
question.
Okay. Is that all from staff? Okay. Are there any reports from the Planning and Zoning Commission? All right. Well, seeing none, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned.